Still working on Melco lake water filters, and I've had some newer ideas that I think will make it easier to work with and probably stay more steerable. The latest idea I had was what I call my dishpan model. That shows the filter put in one of these, this is a Rubbermaid stiff plastic dishpan. And I've drilled a hole in the front and put this on the front. And then I put one filter inside. And this still has P-rock on between the 4-inch and the 2-inch pipe. But we put it in here and this well, and you can take and I'll pour a little P-rock in there to see how this works. Tilt this up, you can see by looking at this how it will fill all around, and it'll take about 4 gallons of P-rock to fill this full, and it'll give you all that additional filtering material, and then all the water comes in through the top. This would weigh about 33 pounds, I think, with the one in there, probably 40 pounds. That stuff weighs about 10 pounds per gallon for P-rock.
And why do we have a tub now instead of just having the filter in like you had it before?
Well, putting it on a tub, it can sit right on the bottom of the lake and it can be in shelter, and 2 feet or probably even 18 inches is enough water to keep it full and working. It depends on how rough the water is. If it's wavy, it might come down, but I'd say if you can put it 2 feet, that's about the best you can get, and that's not very far out. And you could slide it under the dock, and it's easy to slide in and out. You can put a rope onto it and pull it right to shore if you take the line loose. If you fasten your suction line in here, probably more sturdy with a fitting, you can pull the whole thing right up on shore. And the big easy thing about it is to clean it. If you want to clean it out, you can just take it out and you can pour this stuff out. Get it cleaned out. You take this thing out. It's just a matter of taking off this screw we put on the back of this thing, and then it's ready to pull out. You just tilt it up and pull it out like that. You got to be careful when this is full of P-rock to hold them together. And you can just pull this one off. Take this all apart, dump it out with your P-rock there, and then you can take this all apart, and you can take a brush and clean off all these deals and put it back together. You want to be careful when you take it apart that you don't leave the P-rock in here. Some of the small stuff would find into this, all in between here, and probably block it up some for reinstalling. But once you put it back together, then it takes about 1/3 of a gallon of P-rock to fill this. I'd suggest you just fill about 1/3 full and try this on. Get this to fit. There's always a little trouble fitting this. And then stamp it down like that with the P-rock in part of it, and then finish filling it within about 1.5 inches of the top. And then it'll hold its right place and it's easier to put together. So you just put that in. Then you got it full of P-rock, and then if you hold it on like this, you just push it in and pull it, and it drops right in place. Then we put this block in there, which probably isn't necessary, but it'll keep it there. Once you get P-rock all over it, it'll stay, and it'll stay on the bottom and stay put because it'll be heavy enough to hold its place.
So That's the single one.
That's a single. Now, I made the same thing with double. This will give you at least 15 gallons a minute. This one here, you save, it'll probably take only about 3 gallons of P-rock for this one, but it still weighs probably, I think I weighed them out at 33 pounds. And when that was filled level with P-rock. But this will give you 30 gallons a minute water and work the same way. And then I decided to go a little even further and go to one like this. This has got a triple filter, and to find something to fit in, I used a plastic utility box for mixing a little bit of cement in and stuff. And this will hold 5 gallons of P-rock, so it's pretty sturdy, and it'll give you I think it'd give you 50 gallons a minute of water, and it's pretty easy to put together and everything and take apart. This is just a little rubber band to hold this. This we fill up with P-rock, mostly in here, fill it up level, and then you can pour a little on the edges, and this would weigh about I think about 50 to 60 pounds. And I would suggest you put a rope on this and just take it out, and you only have to go 18 inches of water, and then you can not have to put it out far. I would put it in a bed of weeds and to keep the weeds away. And you probably, if you're out where there's boats, you want to put some kind of a warning float above it or something so you don't run a boat over it. But this all comes apart easily too. This just now snaps here. Once you dump it out, you can just tilt this out and dump it, and then this comes off by lifting up the front end and pushing it back, and then this part here is all together now, but you can take each one apart individually. They come apart like that. We usually put screws and everything here. And then you can take each one apart and take them apart and clean them, put it back together. It's a pretty easy one to do. I thought this was going to be a dandy for if you got a lot of irrigation to do and stuff. So this goes together with, put this, there's a little groove in the back end here. You can see there's a cut a groove here, and that's marked. So this will set down there, and it snugs down over the whole thing to keep it in one place. Then I put this on just to hold it in place for you. And then you hook on your connections here to your suction line. And I'm sure that would give you 50 gallons a minute. And the depth, it's only about 9 inches high all over. So I look for this one to be real popular if you're doing some irrigation, and it's easy to take apart and pull ashore in the fall.
And so you can get them out of the water, like in the fall, if your lake freezes and you need to get this thing out. You don't even have to wade into the water. You can just pull the rope.
Yeah, you could do that, right? And then you get it on the shore and just take and dump the P. I would say put the P-rock on a sheet of plastic or something, and then you can wash it down and clean up that up and clean each one up individually. And but they'll handle quite a bit of water, and they are very good about not plugging up with P-rock.
Well, you said you could put that in the lake water where there's a bunch of weeds where nobody goes swimming, right? And then it's out of the way. But if it's in the weeds, it's not going to get clogged up because it's in the weeds, right? If it's growing weeds
around it, they won't get to it.
Yeah, because that's what it is. It's a filter, and it filters out the weeds, I suppose, too. Yeah.
We look for that one to be pretty good.
Yeah, okay, so these are for sale online. You can go to the website, lakewaterfilters.com.
Right.
And we'll put
in there, and I think we got a picture in there of these too. But
yeah.
This is a little more description so you know how they work.
So you've got a lot of different models you've built in the last few years, but these here are the latest ones here.
Right.
And so probably this is since this is the latest one, and probably the most improved versions here are these here. So.
I looked at a lot of different tubs to put these in, and I found this one by Rubbermaid that's sturdy enough to take a little beating and won't fall apart. It's a little more expensive than the cheaper ones, but if you got that much weight in it, it'll stay put.
So when you ship these out, then they're not completely put together, right? Or are they pretty much put together?
Just the fittings to put on. These are put together and totally, except that you have to put the P-rock. People don't want to pay for P-rock freight.
For shipping the
but they easily come apart. And that 2-inch pipe is glued to the bottom base.
So that's already glued.
So that's all permanent. And the top ones slip off.
But you won't get the P-rock shipped to you. You'll have to get your own P-rock then.
That's right. Yeah, that's available cheap at a lot of places.
Yeah.
And the trick with this one mostly is when it's filled with P-rock, it's a little heavy. It could slide off, so you want to hold that together and then set it up like this and take it apart this way.
Yeah.
And then you can just dump this P-rock out and clean that up too and brush it all down and put it back together. None of the water won't spoil any of this plastics or styrofoam.
And you've had some filters in for a year, 2 years that have worked?
I've had one in for 3 years and it still works.
Yeah.
It's
turned kind of green, but it still works great.
In a North Dakota lake, they get pretty green sometimes, but they continue to work. So the main thing is when you put it back, it's heavy. You hold on to both ends and slip it in like this, so it'll drop down. And I put these on them just to keep it steady if it's empty. Once it's got the P-rock around it, it'll stay put. And that'll hold it in place. And that gives you a lot of additional filtering. And P-rock doesn't seem to restrict the water flow at all. You can run it without any P-rock, and it probably draw just as much as before. So that's enough room for the water to flow around the rock that it's not restricted.
Huh.
So
that's interesting.
We've had pretty good luck with all of them. I haven't had any complaints. I've had one guy from Michigan called me and said it's the best filter I've ever used in my lake deal.
Yeah.
And he was irrigating with it. And that was a double filter similar to the others. But what I like about this is the ease of putting it in the water and taking it out. And these types with this plate on them. The others were either in a pail like this, else you could have put them on a cement block, and I still make those and use them if you got real clear water, and they still work fine. So give her a try and see if you like it.
Okay, very good.